fuck what everyone else is doing. Look, let's get something straight. You need to start worrying about your own shit and stop worrying about everyone else's shit. So, I want to highlight a couple of things. So first of all, fuck everyone else. Okay, you're not everyone else. I mean, regarding life, your own life, the shit that matters is you. Now, of course, you got people that you actually care about, but other than that, it's all about what you are doing. And more specifically, when it comes down to what it's about, and about it being about you, you wanna pay attention to shit like this, where you're looking at your daily goals and going, why does my progress look like this? This is the shit you wanna think about. Like, what happened at this point to where we started this downward spiral? What you don't wanna think about is fucking this shit. Now, let's put something straight here. So, the World Cup. Now, this just highlights it quite well. So, you got games like Spain, Argentina, right? Now, you get the final, people get invested into this shit. But you have to sit here and go like, well, why? Why? Like, of course, one thing, like a valid argument, would be like, you want to be pro at football. Then, of course, if you want to be pro, by all means, go ahead and watch the game. Now, look, I'm not saying all entertainment is... I'm not saying you can't watch anything ever, and this whole thing, like, if you just watch the final, I mean, that's not the end of the world, but the issue with this shit becomes when you go from just wanting to watch the game, when you go from just wanting to watch it to... Let's get rid of this shit. Where you go from just wanting to watch it to just being obsessed about it. This here becomes an issue. Now, why is being obsessed about something like the World Cup an issue? Like, you watch this fucking US commentary with like Zlatan, Henry. Why is this a problem? The reason why this shit is a problem is because this isn't you. This quite literally isn't you. This doesn't impact your life at all. Okay? So Zlatan and Thierry here make cash. Both of these motherfuckers make money. By you don't get jack shit out of it. Now you might say, but. Well, you might say, it's fine. Okay. Now, let's look at it like this. So you got you 1.0 and you got you 2.0. Now, on one of these, you're only working like this amount. And on other, you're doing this. Now, since life is a competition, and since you're constantly trying to win against other people, who do you think is gonna win? The 1.0 version or the 2.0 version of you? Like, if this is focus, if you can allocate this much focus to business, or you can allocate this much focus, which one do you want to do? Do you want to do this one because you want to watch the fucking World Cup, or do you want to do this one where you don't give a shit about this, where you don't give a flying fuck, where you're only focused on your own mission. And this is everything you give a fuck about. Which version would you bet on? Which one? Well, because chances are you wouldn't bet on a 1.0. You'd probably fucking bet on a 2.0. Okay. Now, that's specifically in terms of you're just kind of robbing. Like, I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. You're robbing your own attention. Because you're using it on shit that doesn't advance your life. And so you're becoming stagnant. Now, let's talk about something real quick. There is this book, Reality Transurfing. It's a good book, by the way. Pendulums. And it has this concept of pendulums. So you might ask, what is a pendulum? Well, a pendulum is a entity that essentially feeds on conflict. So let me show you. So it's kind of this thing here. Let's say this is the entity. This is the pendulum right here. What this thing does is that it will capture people's attention and it will create conflict. Okay. So what that practically looks like is something along the lines of hate comments. So it aims to capture people's attention, and when it does that, these hate comments will pour in and they will create more conflict. And the more conflict it creates, the more attention it captures. And this is the problem with using your brain on shit that doesn't actually advance your life. Because if you could just keep it to this, it'd be one thing. But what usually ends up happening with shit like this is that instead of you just thinking about who won, before you know it, you actually start to get involved. And there will be conflict at one point or another, which will draw more attention from you, which will in turn create more conflict, which will draw more attention, create more conflict, and now you're in this fucking loop right here. And now you're just stuck. Also, you don't want to enter this loop. Now, to put it in another way, not necessarily pendulums, but to put kind of your attention plainly, and what you need to guard it is this. So here you're at point A, you want to go to point B. Simple. Now, this might not be a long way, okay? Here's your kind of failure, and here your success. This isn't necessarily a long path, although it's not easy, but what's gonna happen here, if you just let stuff like the World Cup draw your attention, instead of you just doing this, what you're gonna do is more like this. Okay, you'll just be going all over the place, and then maybe you'll go back. Because what can happen is, so let's say you're on a dopamine detox. Now, this is what you're on. Now, all of a sudden the World Cup happens. I think, well, let me just. You do something like that seems really innocent. Like, let me just watch the final. Well, maybe a semi-final, because if you watch the final, you're kind of done with it already. But let's say you're in a dopamine detox. What tends to happen with this outside influences that ain't really that good for you is that they'll just creep in one step at a time. Okay, you'll go like, let me just watch one game, and one step at a time, it starts eroding away at your dopamine detox, and then before you know it, you'll end up in a rut. Okay, because there's the pendulum that captures your attention, creates conflict, which captures more attention. And then also, because one step at a time, you end up just, getting there. I mean, the thing is, like, when you look at this, you could have just gone straight. But because you don't have enough discipline, or because you're essentially lying to yourself or coping, you end up like massively increasing the risk here that you'll actually fall off. So you don't want this. Okay, like, there's multiple reasons why you don't really want outside influence, but you need to focus on your own shit, because, for example, this is quite literally what's gonna happen. You're gonna start consuming more and more content, more and more outside influence, and then all of a sudden, boom. This is the situation you're in. You start falling off, it starts dwindling, like it goes 100 and then all the way to 0, and then maybe you'll get back. And so, if you don't want outside influences, if you don't want to get captured into all these things that don't really matter, because look, let me do one thing more. People will watch Messi. People will watch Mbappe. I don't never say. So look, you will watch motherfuckers play. Now Messi doesn't give a shit about you, and Mbappe doesn't give a shit about you. So why should you? Yeah, well, they're good at football. Like, it's actually enjoyable to watch, sure, but you're essentially saying you deserve more attention than me when you're doing this. You're giving them shit. You're giving Messi money. You're giving Mbappe money. And you don't get jack shit because you give it all to them. Okay? So instead of, like, would you rather that Messi comes up to you and daps you up because he's seen your shit online? He sees what you're up to. Would you rather have Messi dap you up, Mbappe dap you up? Or would you rather sit here and go pay fucking Mbappe and Messi to play football and then go watch that? And then go back to your 9 to 5. Maybe you got a wife. Okay. I don't know why I say wife. Maybe you got a chick, maybe you don't. But like, bruv. Like, you probably don't want to support people who don't give you nothing back. It's like, if you work 9 to 5 for like 2 months and you don't get paid, how much do you want to give to that employer if that employer works you for 2 months, 9 to 5, doesn't give you money? How long will you stay? Probably not that long, but that's exactly what you're doing in this situation here. So, why do you give a shit? And the thing is, you're not, like, if you give a shit about stuff like the World Cup, you're not thinking clearly. You're not. And I'm not writing clearly, but you certainly ain't thinking clearly. Why? Because your choice to watch something like the World Cup, it's not conscious. Okay, you're not really sitting down and going, let me watch that. It's more like a whim. It's more like a just feeling. Look, I'm not saying to not do what you want, but what I'm saying is that this isn't something you don't choose, in a sense. You don't choose to watch the World Cup. I mean, this can be Netflix, this can be fucking anything. This can be bad habits, can be fucking gaming. Can be a bunch of shit. But you're not really choosing to do these bad habits. You're not choosing to kind of watch the World Cup. You more or less just kind of drift into it. You don't choose it, to just end up there, in a sense. Because why? Because you sleepwalk. Like, this is how most people live through life. Most people will just sleepwalk through life, unconscious. And so you just kind of, your desire, it just pulls you in this direction, then it pulls you here, then it pulls you there. Like, it just keeps pulling you in all these different directions. But none of this shit here, none of that is what you actually want. Like, maybe what you want is this box here. But you keep sleepwalking, so you walk past it, World Cup, and you just go all over the place. When this here is what you wanted. So maybe you want to start a business. But instead of you starting a business, you'll be over here watching the World Cup. They might say, well, can't you do both? No, you can't. Look, if you do both, it's not that you're successful because you do something like a balanced life. It's not that. It's you're successful in spite of a balanced life. As a balance in like this sense isn't something you need. Like, there's this Finnish TV channel that literally says that, like, always when it comes to ad breaks, entertainment is good. Which obviously, like, this is complete BS. This is complete propaganda. But that's what they show every time it goes to an ad break. And so people actively try to capture your attention and make you give a shit about stuff that doesn't matter. And let's say here's some advertiser. That advertiser is constantly trying to get money from your pocket to his pocket. From your pocket to his pocket, from you. Like, this motherfucker here. Like, you look at like, this is prime example. You look at the fucking FIFA president. This motherfucker doesn't give a fuck about you. He does give a fuck about this stuff though, which is your money going into his pockets. But he sure shit doesn't give a fuck about you. So stop giving people shit for free, which is exactly what you're doing here. I mean, you're essentially just fucking cocking yourself at that point. So you really shouldn't give a shit. Let me highlight this. So, because think about it. What is the shit that actually matters? The shit that actually matters is your money. Again, not the FIFA money. Your money. It's your mental health. It's your physical health. It's fucking your relationships. What doesn't matter is what everyone else is doing. So you need to stop paying attention to that. And actually think about, what do you want? You need to actually sit down and actually think about this. Like, what do you actually want? Like, maybe someone tells you to get a job. Do you actually want a job? Or are you getting a job because it's the right thing to do? Like, you gotta live life in a way where you're aligned to what you want to do. Because if you don't, well, it's just gonna be blind miserable when you wake up. I realized this isn't what you wanted. What you wanted was business. And so a lot of the reason why you get drawn into stuff that isn't relevant to your life and why it's interesting in the first place is because you're not meditating enough. Because when you're meditating, you become aware of first of all, your own thoughts. And so when you try to go from point A to point B, you notice all these small hooks here on the sides that are trying to pull your attention away from what actually matters, which is the goal. So you notice all these small thoughts, all these impulses to go watch the World Cup. You got like the World Cup, games, went to the bar, whatever the fuck. Like, you got all of these things pulling your attention away from this path, which is straight to the goal. And so meditation will just allow you to spot this and shut this down. Boom. Go on. Like, you'll still get the impulses, but you will be able to stay on this path. And it's gonna look something like this. Yeah, you'll get dragged around a bit, but you'll realize it so damn fast because you're meditating that you'll still manage to actually get to the goal. So you really want to get into something like meditation. Also, actionable steps. So that's right, the plan. The focus on my handwriting. But here's the plan. There's a couple of things. The first one, meditation. I'd say probably do like 3 to 15 minutes per day. Like, the more you do, the better, so you want to go this way with it. Step 1, meditation, because that's going to allow you to reclaim your thoughts and actually focus on the shit that matters to you. Step 2 is asking yourself this question. Do I want this? And like, really ask yourself this, because what you'll find is that sometimes, like, let's say you're gonna grab junk food, you'll actually realize that, wait a minute, I don't want junk food, what the fuck am I doing? And this is gonna kind of wake you up. Okay, so meditation is gonna keep your thoughts in check. And then this is just kind of gonna wake you up. So then the next time when this shit rolls around, you're not just gonna unconsciously gonna watch it, you're gonna be like, wait a minute. What I actually care about is getting rich. I care about chicks. I care about the gym. Being more attractive. Like, I care about these things. But I don't give a fuck about the World Cup. I don't actually do. Like, I don't actually give a fuck about gaming. God damn, my handwriting. But what you'll realize is what you actually give a fuck about. And so, all this to say that you just want to focus on the shit that actually improves your life, because all of these things improve your quality of life. Just like you don't just like your life more, you like yourself more, you respect yourself more, and chances are your money, your workouts, your mental health, your relationships, like a girlfriend, whatever the fuck, having a chick. All of these things will impact your life positively. And you'll feel fucking great about having done these things. Whereas this isn't gonna do really anything for you. So, that's all I got for you today. Go meditate. Ask yourself this question. Figure out what you actually want. Don't just blindly do shit because you kind of feel like I actually sit there and go, wait, is this something I should be doing? Because if you just go with your whims, if you just go do gaming, if you just go watch Netflix, whatever the fuck, you're selling yourself out of your own dreams, and that's not something you want to do. So, that's all I got for you today. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.